The notion of the Islamic State advanced today by populist writers is, as I have tried to show above, a mixture of the nationalist structure of the modern state with the communal structure of historical Sharia. The concept of the state that emerges as a result is in complete contradiction to the nature and purpose of the polity founded by the Prophet. Sas 12 or developed historically by successive generations of Muslims. A quick review of the guiding principles of the first Islamic polity reveals the disparity between the two. The principles and structure of the early Islamic polity are epitomized in the Covenant of Madinan, Sahifat al-Madinan, which formed the constitutional foundation of the political community established by the Prophet. 13. The Covenant of Madinan established a number of important political principles that, put together, formed the political constitution of the first Islamic state, and defined the political rights and duties of the members of the newly established political community, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, and drew up the political structure of the nascent society. The most important principles included in this covenant are as follows. 1. The covenant declared that the Ummah is a political society, open to all individuals committed to its principles and values, and ready to shoulder its burdens and responsibilities. It is not an exclusive society, whose membership rights and security are restricted to a select few. The right to membership of the Ummah is specified in a. Accepting the principles of the Islamic system, manifested in the commitment to adhere to the moral and legal order, and b. Declaring allegiance to the system by practical contributions and struggle to actualize the objectives and goals of Islam. Thus, allegiance and concern for public good are the principles determining the membership of the Ummah as defined by the first article of the document. This is a covenant offered by Muhammad the Prophet, governing the relations among the believers and the Muslims of Quraysh and Yathrib, Madinan, and those who followed, joined, and labored with them. The covenant delineated a general framework that defined individual norms and the scope of political action within the new society, but preserved the basic social and political structures prevalent then in tribal Arabia. The Covenant of Madinan preserved tribal structure, while negating tribal spirit and subordinating tribal allegiance to a morally based legal order. Since the covenant declared that the nascent political community is an Ummah to the exclusion of all people, it approved a tribal division that had already been purged of the tribal spirit, epitomized by the slogan, "My brethren, right or wrong, subjecting it to the higher principles of truth and justice." The covenant, therefore, declared that the emigrants of the Quraysh, Banu al-Harith, Banu al-Aus, and other tribes residing in Madinan, according to their present customs, shall pay the blood what they paid previously, and that every group shall redeem its prisoners. 15. Islam's avoidance of the elimination of tribal divisions can be explained by a number of factors that can be summarized in the following 3 points. A. The tribal division was not based merely on politics, but also social differentiation, thus providing its people with a symbiotic system. Therefore, the abolition of the political and social assistance provided by the tribe before developing an alternative would have been a great loss to the people affected. B. Apart from its being a social division, the tribe represented an economic division in harmony with the pastoral economy prevalent in the Arabian Peninsula before and after Islam. The tribal division is the ideal basis of pastoral production, for it provides freedom of movement and migration in search of pasture. Any change in this pattern requires taking the initiative to change the means and methods of production. See, perhaps the most important factor that justified the tribal division within the framework of the Ummah after the final message had purged the tribal character of its aggression and arrogance is the maintenance of the society and its protection from the danger of central dictatorship. Such a situation might arise in the absence of a secondary social and political structure and the concentration of political power in the hands of a central authority. Hence, Islam adopted a political system based on the concept of the one Ummah as an alternative to the divisional tribal system, while upholding the tribal division now cleansed of its aggressive elements. Islam left the question of changing the political structure to the gradual development of economic and production structures. Although Islamic revelation avoided any arbitrary directives aimed at immediate abolition of the tribal division, it criticized openly tribal and nomadic life. 16.3. The Islamic political system adopted the principle of religious tolerance based on the freedom of belief for all the members of society. It conceded to the Jews the right to act according to the principles and rulings in which they believed. The Jews of Banu Awf are one community with the believers. The Jews have their religion and the Muslims theirs. The covenant emphasized the fundamentality of cooperation between Muslims and non-Muslims in establishing justice and defending Madinan against foreign aggression. The Jews must bear their expenses and the Muslims their expenses. Each must help the other against anyone who attacks the people of this covenant. They must seek mutual advice and consultation. It prohibited the Muslims from doing injustice to the Jews or seeking revenge for their Muslim brothers against the followers of the Jewish religion without adhering to the Jewry principles of truth and goodness. To the Jew who follows us belong help and equality. He shall not be wronged, nor shall his enemies be aided. The covenant stipulated that the social and political activities in the new system must be subject to a set of universal values and standards that treat all people equally. Sovereignty in the society would not rest with the rulers or any particular group, but with a law founded on the basis of justice and goodness, maintaining the dignity of all. The covenant emphasized repeatedly and frequently the fundamentality of justice, goodness, and righteousness, and used various expressions to condemn injustice and tyranny. They would redeem their prisoners with kindness and justice common among the believers, the covenant stated. The God-conscious believers shall be against the rebellious, and against those who seek to spread injustice, sin, enmity, or corruption among the believers. The hand of every person shall be against him, even if he be a son of one of them. It proclaimed, 18.5. The covenant introduced a number of political rights to be enjoyed by the individuals of the Madinan state, Muslims and non-Muslims alike, such as A. The obligation to help the oppressed. B. Outlawing guilt by association, which was commonly practiced by pre-Islamic Arab tribes. A person is not liable for his allies' misdeeds. C. Freedom of belief. The Jews have their religion and the Muslims have theirs. And D. Freedom of movement from and to Madinan. Whoever leaves is safe, and whoever stays in Madinan is safe, except those who have wronged others or committed sin.